Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Identity Project. Today, I have a special friend, somebody that I met actually a long time ago, back when I first started in the field at 24 Hour Fitness Castle Hills. Miss Debbie, how are you? What's going on?
I'm doing great, thanks. Apart from my croaky voice, but I'm good. How are you?
Yes, no worries. I'm doing great. I know the allergy season here in Texas sometimes can be rough, so
Um,
well, hey, I want to kind of dive into your story and kind of take you back. We were chatting a little bit before this as we kind of, I guess, prematurely started diving into the story. So you were born in South Africa, which is amazing. So tell us more about kind of like your childhood, where you're born, what it was like kind of growing up in South Africa.
yeah, born and raised in South Africa. Great time of to be in South Africa when I was younger. That's kind of the reason why we moved here because I wanted my children to have a lifestyle like I remembered in South Africa. Because the moment living in South Africa has become dangerous. But growing up there was awesome. Attended schools. We always school uniforms. Catch any school buses. Shorter school days for sure. I was kind of shocked when I got here and had to put my kids in school from kindergarten age for that long a time period. I was like, what? I'm not going to see my kids.
What's the schooling system there in South Africa? Like how long?
Oh, for like the little elementary school, you go from like 8 to 12, 4 hours.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Um,
half the time,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Basically half.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of nice in a way. Once your kids go off to kindergarten, they're there for pretty much a long time of your day, so you can kind of, if you're a working parent, you can get your work done. But I was fortunate enough to stay at home and raise my kids. Being just staying at home, a mom, which was awesome. But growing up in South Africa, I got into exercise with my sisters. I'm the youngest of three girls, so no brothers. And my sister would drive us to our little local school hall basically, and we'd do aerobics like Jane Fonda style. And the step, do you remember the step? Leg warmers, those kind of days, in tights. And we loved it. I mean, it was a time for us to bond as sisters and just really get to, be together and exercise in a healthy way. And then I slowly got into, you know, different gyms and with more equipment. And I guess as my confidence grew, I got into the weight section of the gym, which for ladies in those days was a big thing, to actually go and lift dumbbells. So that's where I saw the big changes in my body happen when I started lifting weights. As much as I love the cardio, I mean, I'd gone through some different phases of my life too of yo-yo dieting, cutting your calories way down. My mom used to love her way less. I think it's Weight Watchers here, very similar concept. And I'd count calories, and then I'd like, oh my gosh, I'm eating too much. And then, really obsessed about food growing up, which looking back was like probably where my metabolism really slowed down. And because I was definitely 20 pounds overweight when I was growing up in my high school years. And I've only actually lost it as I've got older, which is quite strange. Having kids, after each kid, I got thinner and thinner, which some people, think it's hard. But I think it was from all the strength training that I kind of incorporated into my fitness and my hip training that really spiked my metabolism and got me, you know, into a more healthier, leaner shape than just a cardio, you know, bike all day, do step classes all day and aerobics all day kind of fitness figure.
Yeah. So I have a few questions. First, I want to take it back a bit. Do you think was your mom like a big influence on you and your sisters, and that's how y'all kind of first got influenced into working out and being kind of healthy, if you will?
Yes, she was always involved in sports. So my dad was the same. They played squash, which is kind of like a racquetball here,
Mm.
bit of with a little bouncy ball and a small little racket. So they played for Natal, which is our province, almost like our state in South Africa. And they were always very active, which I think definitely influenced us. We also ate healthy food, which was a great influence on us. And we always have home cooked meals. I think that's kind of lacking nowadays.
Mm.
Sitting down as a family and actually eating together from a meal that's been cooked from scratch. Um, yeah, we always have breakfast together. We'd eat lunch at school, but dinners were always together. And I think it's just great time for bonding and great time to, sit down and just kind of chill, because now as a mom, I don't get that kind of time like it, and I really appreciate the time that we could get in those days, because there was no social media, there was no electronics, there was nothing like that. And I kind of miss those days, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. It's one thing I talk about so much, especially now with having, a child of my own. It's like I've just seen, over the years, basically what's happened is we've gotten, as a culture, you know, as the United Nation, it's like we've sat here and we've gotten farther and farther out of the kitchen, right? I mean, it's so much less common to cook the majority of your food than it is to just go out and eat out for the majority of your food.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a huge, huge importance, and something that, my kids aren't grown yet, but I hope to be able to implement in their life. So, so what sports did you play kind of growing up, and did it change as you kind of gotten older into high school years, or?
Yeah, well, we played squash at school. We played tennis. We played field hockey. We played netball, which is similar to basketball. Different sports, actually. So it's weird now with my son who got into sports here. He plays sports that we wouldn't even play in South Africa. So yeah, we play a lot of sports in the school system in South Africa, because it's part, you have an hour every day of PE where you get to try out a sport that you like, and then you put it into teams, and then after school you play on that team, and against other schools, and definitely a more active lifestyle. In South Africa too, the schools would have galas. So everybody has to swim in the school gala.
Hmm.
Everyone has to participate in your school sports day. You put in different color houses, and it's a big team thing. So that part of the schooling system in South Africa I do miss, because you have to be involved in sport. From elementary, kindergarten age to high school, you're involved in the summer swimming season, and you're involved in the colder seasons where you play the winter sports.
Yeah.
Just in
Wow.
obviously levels, but you have to do it. There's no option.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I mean, I talk about a lot, in elementary school, I was lucky enough to go to BBO in elementary school, which is I had this guy named Mr. Cox, who was our teacher, and he was amazing because he created something called the Owen Sprinters. And so like 2 days a week, it was like a running club. And then he also created the Bobcat Ropers. And so we had like a jump rope club. And so for all 5 years of elementary school, that's what I was doing. And that played a huge role in my life going forward in terms of how it impacted me with other sports. So yeah, I love that. It's sad to me seeing, more and more of the schools taking like recess away, shortening it to like 30 minutes and things like this. Like, so anyways, that's a whole nother conversation we could dive into.
I know, and all our schools open up onto a field or greenery. You never in a corridor in like a closed environment. You will
hmm,
always be able to be outdoors and go outside and enjoy your lunch and your recess all outside.
hmm.
You eat your sandwiches, whatever you bought that day, out on the field.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, there's so many benefits of that. I mean, just going out, getting in fresh air, getting some sun, like just like I mean, being in nature, even if that's not like technically like, the forest or anything, like it's nice to be in fresh air and in the sun. It's different than just being cooped up inside all day. We're human beings. We're meant to move.
Yeah, I just love being outside, and then it doesn't have to be a really hot day or anything, but just getting outside, looking at the blue sky, appreciating what's around you, just can make my day, really.
Yeah. Have you always been, I mean, you're extremely, extremely active. I mean, I competed in CrossFit at one time, and for 4 years, I mean, I worked out a lot, or 5 years, but I mean, I feel like you've stayed extremely active for ever since I've ever known you. So have you always been that way, like through your whole life?
Um, no, I've definitely become more active moving here, because in South Africa, I didn't do road cycling, and that takes up a lot of my cardio work out here, because it was just too dangerous. There's just too much traffic. People don't obey the road regulations. There's taxis on it's just too dangerous. So I never road cycled there. So I got a lot more exercise in now as I've moved over here.
Hmm.
Now I did exercise through all my pregnancies, which I definitely can tell any mom I want to be out there. It helps. It really, really, really does help. Basically, it was in a step class on the Friday, had my baby on the Monday. I didn't really have to adjust anything. Obviously, you listen to your body, but working out really just helped me stay in high spirits. Really, if sometimes the first 3 months can be a little bit nauseating, but once you pass that, getting back into your routine, once your doctor says it's fine, is highly recommended.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was one thing. Alex, I mean, she worked out all the way through pregnancy, and I mean, even in that, like you said, that first trimester was rough. I mean, she like threw up every single day. She lost 12 pounds in her first trimester.
Oh no! Wow.
Yeah, so it was rough, but anyway, so transition a little bit here. So at what time did you actually make that move from South Africa to the States? Was that like after college or high school, or?
No, that was 9 years ago. So I'd had all my
Okay.
children in South Africa.
Okay.
My oldest was 12. Because I've got 4 children. And then it was Christmas Eve. We landed here in Dallas, Christmas Eve 2009, and started snowing. It was so pretty, and we were coming from summer in South Africa, so we were like in our summer clothes, not expecting the cold snow, but it was just awesome. So coming up this year, it's going to be 10 years of being here, and we really loved every minute of it. We actually won the green card lottery. Not many Americans know there's a green card lottery out there. So
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
It's a culture diversification program. Technically, they wanted to bring different cultures into the States. So I actually know like close friends, even my sister who's won it. So I don't know how hard it is to win, but there are a lot of people still out there trying to win it. But I think it's not going to stay around for much longer. But we were fortunate enough to do it, and then once I win it, I get my whole family in by following obviously all the procedures. You have to do medical tests, background clearance, chest X-rays for to check your health and security checks and all that kind of stuff. But it was hard work, a lot of paperwork, but it was definitely worth it because we are so happy here, and the lifestyle here is just amazing. You don't have to stress about pulling up to a traffic light and having your car window broken into because someone wants to steal your personal passenger seat. Just little things that we just live with daily there. You're always looking over your shoulder. You're always worried about, locking doors and making sure, we have security bars on all our windows that open. We have electric fencing around our houses. We basically are prisoners in our own homes there.
Wow.
Unless you've lived it, you can't really relate to it. But one thing I did notice moving over here was that all the main bedrooms in American homes are downstairs. And for South Africans, all of them are upstairs because you lock yourself upstairs. Just in case anyone breaks into your house, you are locked away upstairs, safe with your family.
Wow.
So
I wasn't.
little things like that.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I mean, has it always been that way there, like throughout your whole entire life, or what? I mean, what was it that caused all of that?
Well, different government coming into power. That definitely created a lot of unemployment. So people had to start stealing and, really just stealing to survive. So you can't really blame people too. I mean, they're hungry, they don't have work, they're providing for their families, they've got to do something, and sometimes that's the only thing they can do. So growing up, my childhood was awesome. We could go ride bikes outside and my parents would tell us come back when it's dark, but my kids, I could never do that. No way. Even as adult kids going out driving at night, you would say, listen, you go through any light you have to. You check and you drive. You don't ever stop at a red light because you might get carjacked. And that's a, popular, not a popular, but it's a regular occurrence in South Africa.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah. A beautiful, beautiful country to visit. I would highly recommend visiting there. It's beautiful, but you just not live because you just don't feel safe.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So how did you get into this whole, I mean, obviously your whole life, it sounds like you were into fitness, right? And you were super active and it was part of your family and, so it makes sense. But at what point did you kind of start like coaching and training and doing classes? And when did you actually start like teaching?
Well, I started in South Africa just before we left.
How did that all start?
Well, I don't know if you remember Virgin Active, Richard Branson.
Yeah.
In South Africa. He bought out a big group, Health and Racket Club actually started in South Africa. He bought them out of Virgin Active. And Virgin Active had this demo team, which went around the South Africa Natal, demonstrating what the gym has to offer. And I was part of the demonstration team, like, showing different movements on the wall, bench, whatever. And so that was fun. We were sponsored by Reebok. And then I decided, I might as well get into teaching. So then I started doing some teaching courses and group fitness, and I got into teaching. And that was fun. I really enjoyed that. I mean, obviously, starting out, it's hard. You've got to build up your confidence and everything else. But it was good. It was fun. I didn't become a personal trainer until I moved over here. And that's where I kind of grew my business some more. And I got into personal training.
Did you find yourself just kind of like naturally good in that group setting, or like when you first started, did you have like any self-doubt and like anything like, oh, maybe I'm just not meant to do this, anything like that?
You always have self-doubt. Even now, moving from a different studio, wherever, being in a different room or just subbing for someone, if you're not in your own space, it definitely takes a lot more concentration and a lot more just, trying to hide the nerves a little bit than being in your own space, in your own studio. And I go to my own studio every day, in and out. I know everybody. It's like comfortable. I feel awesome there. I can, say what I want. I know everybody. I feel totally relaxed. But going into a different space, it's hard to start with, for sure. Different people, different audience. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the group trainer out there that's listening and, they have some of these same feelings, which we all have, right? But like being nervous in front of people, when you're talking and things like that, like what are some tips or strategy that maybe you could give to some young trainers out there that are struggling with that?
Well, I always believe in breathing. So a few deep breaths, maybe listening to some nice hype music on the way there, like getting yourself into some, just relaxed mood music you like to listen to.
What's your favorite song to get you ready for the class?
Oh gosh, I love Love, Lauv. How do you say it? Is it Love? I don't know, like his music. I love Marshmello. And what have I listened to lately? Oh gosh, I listen to a whole mix because I've got to cater for so many different talent, like different music genres in my class. I've got young people, I've got old people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so much that I listen to. But I like listening to a lot of stuff on the radio too, Kelly and all that kind of stuff. I love his music. So that helps me up then, breathing and just visualizing the space, and maybe, got some mantras going in your head, like talking to yourself, just like you would motivate the people in your class, really, but just self-talk. I often think they should have an app. Those running apps that you have. Have you ever used a running app that tells you, okay, your pace, this is your pace, this is what your is. Actually recording your own voice and putting that onto the app. So you're actually talking to yourself, your mantras, and saying, okay, you got this, Debbie, in your own voice. Or you can do this, push harder.
I like that. I really like that a lot. I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, definitely self-talk. Talk to yourself, because I know in a marathon or whatever, when I'm feeling like, okay, this is tough, talking to yourself does help. But you got to believe it.
Yeah. Well, that's the hard part, right? That's the hard part. It's so easy. It's so easy to like say that, right? Positive self-talk, like self-love, all these things, but it's like to actually carry it out and actually do it consistently. And then, even more so, like actually believe it. Like it's hard for a lot of people. And I think, you're right. Like obviously you build confidence over time. I think it's something that everybody struggles with forever, but you just kind of, start to get the tools that you need to manage it, if you will.
Confidence, going back to confidence, it's so important in instructor. You can have a instructor who's offbeat, doesn't have like very interesting exercises, but if she's confident or he's confident, that can make the class.
Yeah.
They're believing in themselves, that can really come through as a great instructor.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's the vibe of the class, right? You have to put out good vibes. It has to be, people have to, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what are you kind of like most passionate about now? What do you find yourself doing these days? Obviously you have your own personal kind of fitness, related goals, nutrition related goals. So let's talk about those, and then we'll kind of dive into like more on like the professional side.
Okay, so what I like to do for workout, is that what you're asking?
Just kind of like what are your like personal fitness and nutrition goals like currently right now? Is there anything you're working towards training for right now, or
Well, I always like to do that 100-mile bike race, Harder Than Hell, in the end of August.
do you do that every year?
I have for the last 6 years. I love it. It's something that keeps me training through the summer, because as it gets hotter and you're going to increase your distances even longer, it gets harder, right? So to stay in that hard peak training during the summer, that keeps me motivated, knowing that I've got that goal. This year, because of all the rain, kind of like having a late start, so I've been doing a lot more indoor cycling. But that's one of my goals. And then maybe a full marathon. I haven't really set the schedule. I wasn't able to get into any of the 3 I wanted to get into, because I'm trying to do the top 6. And I've done 3 of those so far. I've done New York, Boston, and Chicago. I need to still do London, Tokyo, and Berlin. But all of those are kind of lottery and it's hard to get into. So I entered them all, but didn't get into any of them. So my plan too is, maybe if I do a full marathon this year, I'm going to South Africa next year, and they have an ultra marathon doing that. But I have to qualify this year for that. So that would be fun. It's called the Two Oceans in South Africa, where you run the length of 2 oceans along that Cape Coast.
Wow.
So that'll be
What do
fun.
you run a marathon? What's your best marathon time?
Oh, my best marathon time was my last run in Chicago. It was a 3:37.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that
So
was a
I mean, like you just, I mean, it seems like you just thoroughly like enjoy everything that all of that entails. I mean, because I mean, let's be real, a marathon in that time is really, really good. And I mean, we're talking like the 5%, the 1%, something like this. So how did you, I mean, what motivates you like on a day-to-day basis? Are you always motivated like this?
I am, if I've got a goal. Yeah, for sure. That's why I have these goals. And this year I haven't really had one, because I'm so busy with like personal challenges that I've been going through. So my physical has been a little bit, sidelined. But definitely having that marathon goal keeps me going, because I was using the Run Less, Run Faster training program, which is only 3 runs a week, which I love, for Chicago. So you get in a speed workout, you get in a tempo run, you get in a long run, and cross train with my bike, which fit in perfectly with my summer goal of doing Harder Than Hell 100. So having that goal definitely helped, but I don't find running easy. To me, it's a challenge. I have to drag myself into that treadmill, drag myself outside. But once you get into it, those first mile or 2 always are the worst. Once your body's like warming up, you're trying to find your rhythm, it's always hard. So beginners, just get over that and, find your rhythm, find your breathing, and you'll be able to run longer and enjoy it.
Yeah, love
Biking's
that.
my favorite, I must say. It's a lot less taxing on your body.
Yeah, no, God, I did a half marathon a few months back just for the hell of it. And it was like the worst decision of my life. Like I didn't train for it. And like my body hurt so bad after. I was just like, yeah, bad
You
decision.
should train for those.
I got to train. Yeah, it was 150% my fault. But so I want to kind of touch back into something you mentioned earlier, which is, I think we're definitely here in 2019 moving in a much better direction than, maybe before, but there are still a lot of people out there that kind of have that thought of like, in terms of females of like, oh, I don't want to lift weights because it's going to make me bulky or big or whatever. So can you kind of talk about that transition for you, especially from like a psychological standpoint, a mindset standpoint, making that shift from just doing cardio all the time to actually starting to incorporate weight training into your regimen?
I think the thing for me, which is why I was so cardio focused, was looking at the calories. Oh, I'm burning so much more calories running for half an hour or on the bike for an hour. And that calories in, calories out mentality. I don't count calories. I don't count anything like that, because I eat way too many calories. So I know my body knows now, like if it's hungry, it needs food. And I kind of listen to it now. If I'm trying to stay hydrated, then I know, okay, if I'm hydrated, had enough sleep, then I'm good. By changing into more of the strength training, I kind of just got over that. Like, you know what, I can go and also lift weights in the weight room, and I saw results. I started building muscle, which made me, more metabolically active at rest, so I could start eating a little bit more. And now I just love cross training. There's no ways I have to do cardio every day like I used to. I mean, I'd like to do like a HIIT workout, then maybe like a cardio day with a little bit of strength, and then another like HIIT workout. And I really just mix it up because I love the pump I get from, lifting weights, and not necessarily like real heavy weights. I mean, I do lift heavy some days, but even just band resistance, body weight, um, maybe using kettlebells. It's something different. I try to tend to stay away from machines. I really just like to use free weights and stuff that I can have fun with. Going into more like body flow stuff, I'm really focusing on that now, which I love, just to make it more fun. Say I'm going to the gym to play for an hour. I'm not going to make this like oh, it's punishment. I go there to have fun, and once I'm warmed up, the hard part, like they say, is getting there. Once you're warmed up and you are, around everybody else has got the same goal, you kind of just can do it, and it gets done, and the hour goes by real quickly. And yeah, that's how I do it because I see results.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you made a great point there with just like adults need to, as kids, we grow up, playing all the time,
Yeah.
And for some reason, as we get older and older, we stop playing as much. And, I think looking at working out as play it's just an example of kind of making that mindset shift of like scarcity to abundancy, and like looking at it in a more positive way.
Yeah. And I mean, you don't have to play for like 2 hours, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
can play for half an hour. If you do a nice intense HIIT training, that's just as effective as, as an hour, whatever you got, just make it work for you. Because everyone's different. Everyone's got, different time frames they can fit it in. Their morning train or their night, they like to train at night, or they go to lunch hour, fit it in wherever you can. Because you know what, you eventually, those little positive changes reap huge rewards.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking on that, what are your thoughts around, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that they ask a question about how do I stay consistent, right? Like how do I avoid kind of creating self-sabotage in my life with kind of these nutrition and fitness goals? I don't know if you experienced that or not, maybe earlier on, maybe you're in a better headspace now, but what would you say to those people?
Well, I eat the same food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, basically every day, except my dinner. Obviously, I change it to put protein and maybe some different vegetables. But I'm a stickler for routine. Once you find something you love, just have it every day. So that's why I don't travel as much. I don't get away as much because my job keeps me here. But that's where I think people often get off track, is when they travel a lot with their work because they're out of their routine. So try and have the same food you would eat at home as away as you travel. Don't think, oh well, I'm open to now this whole big smorgasbord, I can go wild, because that's how you're going to get off track. Stay on track with what you would eat at home when you travel. Try and get into the local gym, or just add some more, walking, whatever, into your program if you're away traveling. Stay hydrated, and just try and stick to your routine even if you have to travel. I'm lucky that I don't have to travel, because in some ways, I'm always on track. I never go off. So I don't battle with that though. I really find it easy to stay on track. And if you go off on one meal, hey, it's one meal. Just get back on track the next meal, because it's going to be times in your life. Okay, this is a lifestyle. There's going to be obviously times in your life when you got to celebrate a birthday. It's Christmas. It's Thanksgiving. And don't, bash yourself up for having, a bad meal.
Yeah.
Don't write it off as your whole week's gone now, because it's just one meal. If you get back on track the next meal, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so back when you kind of gotten that self-awareness for yourself a long time ago that, hey, I probably shouldn't be tracking my food and counting calories and things like that, because it made a negative relationship with food and your body. So
some people, but for me, yeah, it didn't work, because I was like just totally consumed about, and I think my body's just found that macro balance, so that I know what I need.
yeah.
I know when I need some fat, because I'm like, okay, I'm really hungry, and I didn't have my regular breakfast because I was on the run this morning. So I knew I needed some good fats at about 10 o'clock, which I don't usually need because I've had my sunbutter in the morning. So I had to grab like a handful of nuts because I knew I needed something that wasn't going to keep me till lunch. And yeah, I guess once you figure out those macros that work for you, you don't need to track them anymore. And I
Yeah.
naturally found it, I guess. I've just been lucky. Because even when I'm doing so much more cardio, when I'm training for marathons and for my bike race, I don't change my eating. I just kind of stick with it. And if I have an extra bar during cycling, that's about it. But my eating stays consistent. Season to season.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you don't find yourself like increasing your calorie intake when you're when you're burning way more and putting out way more activity?
My friends tell me I do get leaner in the summer, but that just happens naturally. It's not that I'm actually trying. And then in the summer, the different season, I'm obviously storing a little bit more, getting me ready for my long cardio sessions in the summer, spring, summer, fall. And my body, I guess, maybe it's just got into natural balance of just,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you don't notice any like biofeedback issues, like symptoms like sleep, or performance recovery, any of those things going down?
no.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I mean, it's just an example. Like I always say, I mean, everybody out there is so unique and different. And like, there's just, I mean, for most people, you would think, yes, like 100%, if you're putting out way more volume like that, then yeah, you got to fuel it and recover. But there's some people that, I mean, I don't know, for whatever reason, their body's able to do it. So that's interesting. So what are like the classes that you teach these days? I mean, you mentioned a lot of like the HIIT classes and things like that, but there's tons of different studios out there these days. Like there's tons of different like types of working out. What are the styles that you teach?
I teach a treadmill strength class. So we do 5.5 minutes, somewhere roughly around that limit on the treadmill, and then we go onto the floor and do weight training. Back to the treadmill for another set, usually about 3 or 4 rounds like that, switching between treadmill and strength training. I also just teach pure HIIT training with just a circuit and teaching with dumbbells, whatever equipment we have in that studio. I also teach a class where we take it outside now that it's getting warmer. So half of it's inside doing HIIT and half of it's outside on a big open space where we can have more, lunges and use the space better outside. But all my classes are HIIT workouts. That's something I love. Apart from doing obviously a long bike ride or running and training for a marathon, all my other workouts are always HIIT workouts.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very cool. So do you do I mean, how did the whole thing with like the social media and online world start working for you? I mean, you have like a lot of followers on Instagram. You have a really big following. It seems like you have great engagement on there. I mean, how did that whole process kind of start for you with Instagram?
Well, I became, I don't know how many years ago now, a Beachbody coach. And they were really into pushing social media. So they were telling us to post like once or twice a day. And I'm like, no, nobody wants to hear from me once or twice a day. And like on everything, like Facebook, Instagram, everything. And so from being a Beachbody coach, I learned that side of social media. And then I've obviously listened to big social media gurus who helped with training of, what we should be doing. And that helped to build my following. Yeah. So and I also think, giving workouts out that are free to people helps. So people want free stuff, they want free workouts, things that are going to work and that I use and I get results from.
Yeah.
They can share and also get results from, and then, spread to other people, tag people and spread the word.
Yeah. Well, and it's beautiful, right? It's a beautiful thing because it's like, I mean, personal trainers, coaches, group instructors, like, I mean, it's great. You're impacting people's life, but you're impacting, one room or maybe a couple gyms in your local area. And now when you get online, you have the power to really reach like anybody in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. So I can still keep in contact with my, South African friends and clients there, and then still keep in contact with everyone around the place. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So what are like some of the questions that you get through social media? I mean, do people ask you more about like fitness related stuff, like nutrition, lifestyle? Like what are some of the most common questions you get?
I've never opened up my Instagram to ask questions.
Do people like send you like direct messages or?
Um, no, they actually don't ask me any questions. I mean, some people ask about workouts, but no. Um, I haven't really got many questions about or what to do, but I guess with the ladies, I do train. It's obviously, how to lose that fat, and especially around the belly, which is totally, I think, diet related.
Yeah. So what is your like if you think about like all the ladies that you train these days, like I mean, what are like some of the most common or I guess kind of who is that demographic for the most part? And then what are some of like the most common issues that you're seeing with losing, the belly weight or losing body fat?
Well, I mean, I train from like mid 20s to probably mid 50s. I think the ladies that I teach, because most of my clientele are ladies, especially coming to my group classes, with my treadmill classes. And yeah, I think, I don't drink any alcohol, which could play a big factor in it, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's the weekend, I'm drinking. And then, all the effort that I put in from Monday to Friday is like gone. So I think for me, that makes it easier that I don't drink, because those are just empty calories. And it's sometimes because you're drinking, you don't remember what you're eating. Um, so I think that can help. And I also just tell the ladies, just put in the work and be consistent, and you will definitely see results. Okay, you're going to go through times when there's the plateaus, and you're just going to have to keep pushing on. Maybe adjust your diet a little bit. Look at your macros, and start tracking if you need to, and then just keep at your exercise, because you can't just spot reduce. That really. You got to just work on everything. Work on your cardio, work on your strength, and put it all together with good nutrition, and 100% guarantee that you will get results. Just be patient. I mean, I look back at my journey. I mean, I was never, this shape when I was married. I slowly got into shape, and I kind of don't even remember how. I just did it. I was doing it consistently. And I'm sure you've heard that a lot, consistency, right? You just got to keep doing it, doing it, doing it, doing it. And if you're doing a good habit, you're going to get better at it, and you're going to start seeing results. Just,
I 150% agree. So, but here's a question I'll pose, right? Because I hear this so many times and I know you hear it as well. What about the people, they start with you, right? And it's been a week or 30 days or 90 days. And they're like, oh, I'm just so frustrated. Like I'm doing everything right. And I'm not seeing results, or maybe I'm just not seeing as fast the results as what I was looking for. And I always just kind of pose the question. It's like, okay, well, what's the alternative?
yeah.
Like, are you going to keep doing these healthy habits that are going to allow you to live a great life, a healthy lifestyle? Or are you just going to go back to not caring and just creating self-sabotage and, eating whatever you want and drinking whatever you want all the time? Like, what's the alternative? You can go back, but like, then it goes into this whole psychological piece of like this back and forth of like yo-yoing, because eventually you're going to want to do it again. Summer's going to come around or whatever. You're going to get motivated. And so it's just this up and down. So what are your thoughts around that? I mean, what are your thoughts around like, I guess essentially what that is kind of the all or nothing mentality versus playing the long game?
That is something to be like cautious of, especially if you want to lose weight for an important function like a wedding, or you've got, Christmas coming up, or summer holiday, and you really just geared towards that goal, which can obviously fast track you onto hopefully a good plan. But once you're there, then what? Like, people think my life's easy because I'm in shape, but you know what? I got to keep this shape every day. I'm not going to just go suddenly go and eat, McDonald's every day. I've got to still keep working on it every day to maintain it. And I don't see results because I'm just doing what I do every day. So once they get to that stage where they're not seeing results, what's going to happen then? They've got to be like, okay, I've just got to keep doing this because I like what I'm doing, not because I'm going to see results. So once they like what they're doing and they enjoy eating healthy and they enjoy exercising, then doing it not because you want a result becomes a whole lot easier. That makes sense?
Absolutely.
I do
100%.
it because I enjoy it, and I like how my body looks right now. And I don't have the desire to eat unhealthy food because I've got my body used to craving healthy food. And they just got to get over that. You know what I mean? That mindset and into that healthy eating lifestyle, not just a phase, to really start seeing results. Because yeah, you've got options, but do you really want to go and see yourself a year from now exactly where you are right now? You know? You've got goals. Do you want to be tracking them, right? Being intentional about them. Telling you, okay, I'm going to wake up at this time. I'm going to do this at this time. And, I was just reading this book. I love it. Have you read it?
Atomic Habits. Love that.
Gosh, that's stacking habits. So if you come home from work, you take off your shoes, the next habit you're going to do is like, okay, I'm going to put on my running clothes and I'm going to go for a run. When I come home from my run, I'm going to cook my healthy dinner that I've already, had prepared. Once I finish my dinner, I'm going to wipe the kitchen down, put the dishes in the dishwasher, and go and read my book before I go to bed. So you're stacking good habits like that. And I just read that today. I was like, stacking habits, it sounds amazing, because once you're stacking good habits, you can only lead to a great day, right?
Absolutely. Habits are the way, right? It's like, and I think for so many people, like they look for a diet or some plan or whatever to follow. And like what that requires of them is to essentially change their whole life. They have to sit here and try to implement all these new habits. And for most people, it's almost a recipe for disaster, So we talk about a lot in terms of like, what's the one thing? I don't know if you've ever read that book. It's really, really good. But what's the one thing that's going to move you forward, right? Like if we assess, if you have somebody do that 10,000 foot view and assess your life, right? And based off your goals, what are all the things that you're doing wrong? What are all the things that are making you kind of create that self-sabotage or, essentially not allow you to move forward towards your goals? And then once we do that assessment, it's like, okay, now let's pick the one thing that we want to focus on, the one thing that we want to improve and actually start to consistently build into a new habit.
Just one thing.
One thing.
Yeah.
What's the one thing for so many people? Like if you said the majority of the American population, we're going through an obesity epidemic right now. What do you think the one thing that everybody in America needs to do right now?
Get up and move. So much is like social media is just sitting down on a phone. I see that with my kids, they just sit down, look at a screen. So just get up and move every hour, walk down or whatever. Just even if you got to just walk up and down the stairs, just get up and move and stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Blood dehydrated, so they're tired.
So what about maybe for them, the people like, obviously get up and move, like go to, like a lot of people think to themselves, okay, I need to get a gym membership. I need to go work out at a gym. But what about the people that maybe like just grew up their whole life and they weren't into sports, they weren't into fitness? Like, I talk about how important it is to just simply walk, can you walk 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day? Like that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, just walking. Walking maybe how can you tell when you away from the grocery store entrance? Walking in, walking out, you're getting a couple more steps, right? Just going outside, especially now it's great weather, and just walking to the park, walking back, walking your dog. If you've got some animals, you can take for a walk. It's really simple. You don't need a gym membership, and there's so much you can do with body weight.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? It's simple. It's not sexy. It's just the simple stuff, It's like it's like there's so many people out there getting fooled by this like BS marketing of, hey, take my pill, my potion, my detox, my whatever. And it's just like, look, sleep is free.
Yeah.
You're not getting enough of that. You should probably start getting more of that. Staying hydrated, that's free, right? Like eating healthy, like if you would start cooking the majority of your food, you would actually probably spend less money than if you're eating out all the time. The movement thing, whether it's walking or hitting the gym, so I kind of think about it in terms of like a jar of rocks, and there's like 5 big rocks or 7 big rocks. And then, once those are established, right, those are like those big habits, then we can go into like the smaller pebbles, if you will, the smaller rocks, right? And then maybe that's looking into things like supplementation and nutrient timing or whatever, right? And then the sand is like the stuff that people are pulling out of nowhere of like, the latest, greatest supplement or the newest diet or whatever. So I just love kind of looking at it like that, because I think a lot of people get confused by the marketing, and it's easy to do.
Yeah, there's so much out there that it can be very confusing. So you've got to just do what works for you. You know,
Yeah.
like if you want to do a keto diet, or if you want to do paleo, or you just want to eat whatever you want, like I do, then go for it, because whatever works for you. If it works for me to eat dairy and good fats whenever I want, then whatever. I just do the whole combination. I obviously do try to stay gluten free because of joints and stuff like that. Joint pain, and I read Grain Brain, and I was totally horrified after reading that book. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with those books, right? They can really.
Oh gosh. So I mean, I do try. Obviously, you always choose healthy options. But I'm not ever like, okay, this is unhealthy, this is healthy. Everything in moderation. Because, like I said, there's going to be occasions when you're going to have to eat a piece of cake. Hey, it's your birthday.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Don't make yourself beat yourself up about it, because it's not worth it.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and that's, again, going back to like trying to put yourself into this cookie cutter box of a diet. Well, what happens when you have Sunday brunch or birthday or Mexico or whatever? It's like, you want to have that flexibility to be able to kind of navigate through all of these different scenarios. So, yeah, I completely agree. I've never actually followed, I tell people all the time, I've never followed a diet. I've never actually gone on a diet like keto or, I've never actually followed something strict like that, because honestly, I think it actually just, for a lot of people, puts them in a more negative relationship with food and with their body than anything else. So
I agree, because it's like all or nothing mentality, and I don't ever want that, because that's not how your lifestyle is. You don't want to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to have all these chocolates now because I know tomorrow I'm not going to be able to eat them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know I can eat one, and I'm quite happy with one, and I don't feel like I just overindulge. Then I feel fine. I'll go on and have 100 more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it simply breaks down into, there's two things that are extremely important with nutrition: food quality and food quantity. Right. And so I think that hopefully gives people a peace of mind of like, hey, on the food quality side of things, if of course we want you to eat the best quality food that you can, but hey, if you're traveling or if you're at a wedding or whatever, if you don't have control of the food quality, then no worries. Like, do your best to still dial in the food quantity, and you're going to be just fine.
Oh, and you start to learn, what to avoid. Fried food is better. Obviously, you don't want to, go into all of that, and just eating what's cooked the most, the most clean way, and what doesn't look too dripping in sauce and all that kind of stuff. Stay away from that kind of stuff. You'll be fine.
Well, I think the big piece too, I mean, is if people would just, like we said earlier in this interview, right? Like if people would just start grocery shopping more and cooking more of their food, that would solve so many problems. Well, and I guess with the caveat that they actually need to buy like real, like fresh, food, not like, a whole bunch of frozen like box dinners and stuff like that. But I think everybody gets the point. But anyways, Debbie, I could probably keep chatting to you all day here, but I want to respect your time. Where can everybody find you at on social media so that they can connect with you? And then I don't know, did you say that, I think you have a website and stuff now as well, don't you?
Oh, it's still in the pipeline.
Still in the pipeline. Got it.
You have to find me on Instagram at Debi Jane Fit, DebiJaneFit, and my website link will be on there soon. It's coming. Otherwise, I got a Facebook page, Debi Jane Fit. So any of those, yeah. And they can email me also, Debi at DebiJaneFit.com.
Awesome. Well, guys, this is one of the fittest 47-year-old women I know. Go check out her Instagram. She's got tons of inspiring stuff. So, Debbie, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Chatting with you. Thanks.